my name is Exiled, and welcome to Terminus Tuesdays. I am joined today with Kwin, who is finally on camera, yay, and then Ghost Conley, who finally has a camera, so I'm not by myself anymore. This is finally fun. Alright.
Is it now?
It is finally fun, finally. So people don't have to start staring at me thinking, oh, is he cute or is he not? I'm not cute, trust me, I know this. Anyway, guys.
Now they have somebody to judge you against.
That's not fair. You can't judge me against Kwin. I mean, that's like hands down. I mean,
I
she's gonna lose every time.
I know. I'm sorry. It's no competition there.
Let's give it up for this sweet background, by the way.
Right? Yeah, guys. We have a brand new background made by Ghost Collie, who is actually really nice. Well, I didn't mean that background. I meant the actual background for the stream. But thank you for the color changing in the background over there. That's awesome. Alright, guys. Well, so as you all know, today is Terminus Tuesday, and we'll be going over what was dropped basically over the weekend and last week on Tuesday for WildStar. Now, it was really special this week because we had the Spellslinger was what was re-released, I should say, re-released again to us. And we got a little bit more information than we did last time. A lot of the gameplay that we saw in there, stuff of actually what they'll be doing, and it was really fun to watch. So in case y'all haven't seen it, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm actually going to show you guys just the dev speak of the Spellslinger so that you guys can take a look at that real quick. So let's watch that real quick.
No, Kitty, no.
Oh, damn it.
Yes, Kitty, yes.
Aw, come back.
They can still hear y'all.
Welcome to WildStar. This is DevSpeak. Ooh, this disclaimer has a hint of cranberry and just a flutter of nutty aged cheddar. So it's time to talk about WildStar's interdimensional magic space
Are you
cowboy,
dropping frames? I can't tell.
or Spellslinger for short.
A little bit, yeah.
Spellslingers are highly mobile, ranged assassins that use dual blasters and void magic to skirt danger, hurt some folk, and shoot their friends in the face. With heals. Basically, he's the Nightcrawler in a cowboy hat. Now, Spellslingers use sigils, blasters, light armor, and portals to another dimension. 8th or 9th, maybe. 8th or 9th dimension. Probably. The void lets him teleport around, switch places with enemies. They can even hide out in there for a bit. Now, they also have powers in the real world, like sigils. Spellslingers use sigils to throw bad guys around, gain heals at their buddies, or blast things with fire and stuff. Which brings me to their primary weapon, dual blasters. They're perfect for running and gunning, or charging up and ripping through hide. Now all this and his light armor make the Spellslinger the most nimble, slippery sumbitch this side of the OK Corral. Teleport, dash, run and gun, swap, bamf! And of course,
I'm sorry,
limited
but I want
action
that
cell
hat.
lets you decide if you're going to roll more guns blazing damage, or friendly fire heals. Maybe favor mobility, or precision nukes. Maybe you like CC. Either way, you're going to love saddling up with a Spellslinger. So take a shot at our website for more info on classes, and get a little social with your media. The devs are listening. Hey, so click on this here subscribe button.
Yeah,
And
all
get a
that good
little
stuff.
dev speak in your life.
Alright, so as you guys can see, Spellslinger looks really fun on there. The fact that they have so much mobility and they're still able to do so much damage and everything is huge for a lot of PvPers, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Spellslingers out there just for the simple fact that they may not be able to stealth like a Stalker can, but that Void Slip that they have is simply amazing. Like, just the fact that they can slip into the Void and be completely untargetable from other classes other than a Spellslinger. It was confirmed that if another Spellslinger slips into the Void with them, they can actually chase them into the Void and kill them in there as well, which I think was amazing. Like, that is like, I mean, that's cool as shit, is it not? I mean, think about it. Like, you go over there and it's like, oh, you're gonna try to run from me? No, fuck you, you're not gonna run from me. You're gonna go over there, catch him, and like, hey, what's up, bro? And shoot him in the face. Like, come on. Like, I mean, that'd be me, like, right there trying to run away, and that'd be me raging, like, oh, okay, I just slipped in the void, I'm gonna run away. What the fuck? You know.
You know automatically that they're gonna come and get you if you
What's
are
that?
a really good Spellslinger. First of all, they did say that it is going to be the most popular one, so you're probably screwed.
Could you imagine? Because they're also a healer class. Could you imagine if you res somebody, you res them into the void for like maybe 6 or 7 seconds while they heal up a little bit?
Yeah,
I
that'd
don't
be
know.
interesting.
That's nothing confirmed. I hope they do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
That would
I
be
don't
an
know if they
amazing
do that.
idea.
That would be a pretty good idea and everything. And they said that you can't stay in the void permanently.
I think they said 7 seconds was the max.
Yeah, right now. And then they said later on, like you can with amps you're able to extend that a little bit longer. But
Up to 7.
Up to 7. Okay,
Yeah, I
so.
think 7 was the max. With the
And one of the other things that I thought was simply amazing, one of my favorite abilities that they have, is that teleport ability. I mean, that thing is amazing. Just the fact that, you know, if you're it's like it's like the mage's blink. I was trying to say blink and mage at the same time.
It's like Blink, but it's improved because when you teleport through them, you also stun them.
Yeah,
For
and
like
that's
2 to 3
really
seconds.
cool because the only game that I ever
Blink
what
and what was it? Arcane missiles. They have a spell called arcane missiles. Was I the only one who picked that up?
I don't think it was arcane missiles.
Did
Was
you
it
cast
arcane
magic
missiles?
missile
Did
I
they?
wrote it
darkness?
down. That
I
means
wrote it down.
I took notes. Yeah,
All right.
I also have on here the most important note is that stash. Can we
That-
talk about that Chewa's stash for a second?
Yeah, that mustache that Chua had. Hold on, let me see if I can
It
get to
makes
that
me wanna
point.
roll
About
a
the
male
lore.
Chewa.
I don't know. The hat.
That was just
Did
too
you see
funny.
The hat?
What the hat? Forget the hat.
The hat was amazing.
I
I'm
want
happy.
a pink Chewa with handlebar mustache. I have it on my phone because it's just that glorious. Or did I delete it?
Hold on, I'm trying to see if I can find it on the live stream here so I can show everybody what we're talking about, in case they have not seen.
No, I have it here. It's right there.
Oh yeah, there you go. That mustache on there was ridiculous.
They said they can hardly hear her, but I hear her fine.
Yeah. Background needs to have mic higher. So
It says K needs to have higher mic, hires can hardly hear her.
how's
and
that?
back.
Is that better?
Kai, talk.
Me?
Yeah, they're saying they can't hear you.
It might just be on my stream settings on here because I had the volume down a little bit because some people used to say it was too loud. So
Fix me.
I'm.
Fix me.
There's not
Not a
much that can
question
be
you hear.
fixed.
That's not a question you hear every day, right? Fix me. You've been hanging around the cats a little too long.
My one cat.
Oh wait, I think I got it. I got it. Is that here? Yeah, here we go.
Go back to my rant about mustaches. That was pretty fucking glorious.
Okay, so
That mustache.
I'm gonna show you guys this mustache that we're talking about here.
Mm.
It's
Doesn't come up very
cute.
clearly and everything, but yeah, that's the mustache right there. It was
So good.
pretty freaking epic on there. So
It made me almost want to roll a little person. I never play little people in games. Not that I have anything against little people. I just like to see my armor.
yeah, she
Like,
doesn't like
in
little
full-
people. So sorry.
The only thing that would sway me into being a Chua is if I can have hamster tubes in my house.
Oh well, here's
That's
the thing,
the
and
only reason.
but touching on the housing thing, you even if they didn't have hamster tubes, I'm sure you could build enough shit in there to make hamster tubes so that you can go running through there and just be like, hey, look, this is how I get to my house and everything, and just like build your hamster tubes.
Build an
exactly
exercise
like-
wheel.
Yeah, and like.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like you can just build
And you
that stuff
can-
because of how much freedom they give with all the stuff that's in their housing, and so yeah, that'd be just funny to see. There it is.
I do
That's a
have
lot
to
more
mess around
clear.
with the game creation in order to figure out.
She
what I
seems
want
all
to play
prepared, man.
with.
She took freaking notes. I
I
feel
did take notes.
I feel
took-
under.
Dude, she gets
There's a
real
lot of
prepared
them.
for stuff.
Hey, go big or go home. Right.
Anyway, guys, so
I
continue
get
on.
done.
Bottom.
Continuing on though, guys, is definitely a funny looking character they had on there, and it just shows the amount of customization that they're gonna allow you to have in this game and everything with all your characters. I mean, you have your Chuas with these adorable handlebar mustaches. That's only one of the things that we've seen. I'm sure they got some other crazy stuff in there that you can see. So I mean, it's definitely worth paying attention to and looking at. So further on, moving with the Spellslinger on there, one of the things that we saw.
About the blink, right?
What?
We're talking about the blink. Now, is that just like a mage blink? It just goes towards an enemy and
well, it goes in a straight line.
Yeah, it goes in a straight line.
Wherever you're facing, it does it like 30 meters ahead, and then whatever you go through, you stun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they also said that they also have a swap ability. Where
Yeah. So that's actually
swap with someone.
You actually see
and
that.
then you disorient them.
Yes.
And then what this disorient does is that it completely changes your key
It randomizes.
around.
Yeah. It randomizes your key binding. So like up becomes right and down becomes left and left becomes up and stuff like that. And it randomizes it so it doesn't.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and that's really awesome. So like you can't really aim and everything, and like the way they've done this, the way they've incorporated the way what did they call it again? Whatever, I can't remember what they call it. But basically the way that they've incorporated that disorient was simply amazing. I mean, we've seen it a little bit, back in some of the other games like World of Warcraft and everything, but it wasn't to this extent. Disorient in World of Warcraft was just you walking around in a circle, like, oh, I don't know where I'm going. This one, you're actually able to still control your character, but your bindings are switched. So if you get super lucky, you might still be able to be in control of your character if you happen to guess which way is going to be which way. So, but yes,
no, that's not happening.
Yeah, right.
But
Like, I don't think
what they talked about is stand on a cliff, swap with someone, and then have them try not to fall off the cliff.
right.
Yeah. I like how they even asked that question, like, well, can you jump off the cliff and then teleport?
Right.
Like, no, that won't work.
Yeah, because it's
but
a cast
you
time.
can do it on like a platform, and then with their disorient, maybe they'll fall off.
Yeah, because it is a cast time. So
Okay.
we did have some cast times on there. There was a few abilities that they had, like their that long shot ability that he had. It was like the longest attack ability in the game, and it went really far.
True shot.
There you go, true shot, and and it's 40 meters on there, and that was actually a cast time too. And the way they were using it was as a puller. They would pull the mob, and you can use that ability several times in a row before it goes on cooldown. So they would be able to shoot those guys, 2 or 3 times before the mob actually got to them. So actually, I think is really awesome because, being a squishy class and everything, you kind of need all the help that you can get whenever it comes to child. When it comes to you need all the help that you get when it comes to killing stuff and everything. So it's going to be really, really awesome to see that.
I appreciated the fact that they showed us the telegraphs for the Esper and then compared it with the telegraphs for the Spellslinger. Like, Spellslinger is pretty straightforward. All telegraphs are pretty much straight. And then they had the Esper, which is around you, and then cone and straight as well, but also a shorter range than Spellslinger. So they have Spellslinger, which is straight and long. Wait a second. No one say anything.
Wait, what are we talking?
No one speak. And then
Is she still on mustaches?
All over the place.
That's funny.
Straight and long, and
It's
then
true.
short and curly.
Shush. But yeah, no, I'm definitely not interested in this Spellslinger. At all. Sorry.
The Spellslinger, I mean, I think honestly, I was watching this and I was almost tempted to switch over to Spellslinger just for this, because you still have both classes. You still have your DPS and your healer, so you're still wanted. And is either a tank or a healer. Tanks more than healers. No, Charlie, we are not related. He looks nothing like me. What are you talking about? I mean, come on. I'm way cuter. Way cuter.
That's it.
But
Sorry, he's from Texas.
From Texas, that has nothing to do with that.
There's only a few things that come out of Texas.
You bastard.
Plus, he's Mexican, and I'm like not.
No. Anyway, continuing on.
Stop
So they kept going with the video and everything. We even saw the PvP between an Esper and a Spellslinger, which was very interesting. It was basically came down to a one-on-one match. Esper won the first time, and then the Spellslinger won the second time. And the second time they fought, I believe, is where you see that teleport ability, where they switch his positions with them. And it was really cool to see that because he tried to cast it the first time, and I guess the Esper got lucky and interrupted him, so he couldn't get the cast off. But afterwards, he casted it a second time, and then we got to see that in action where he was disoriented, he couldn't go anywhere, and the Spellslinger was just lighting him up with his abilities and everything. So I thought it was really cool the way that they've incorporated all of the functions. I mean, you know, even with blind, you know, whenever you get blinded, your entire screen goes black or white or whatever they blinded you with.
Screen?
Yeah.
He just healed a tree.
Yeah, like you have a small, like right in the middle of the screen, you have a really small, like a faded area where you can kind of see where you're at. Yeah, it's a little bit clearer in the middle, and then it kind of like just expands out to where it's just blind and everything, and it stays like that for a good however long it's supposed to. And it was really cool to see that because you see that in the you actually see that, I believe, in was it the Warrior play, if I remember correctly.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you saw it in the Warrior video. How the and they have other stuff too that's incorporated in there too. So I thought it was really awesome to see that too.
Was it the Warrior video, or was it the actual mechanics video where they were showing you all the different mechanics?
I believe they have it in the mechanics video too, but in the Warrior video, with the Warrior live stream that they did, the very first one, I believe he actually got blinded, and we could actually see that in real gameplay at that time too. So it was really fun to see that. I'm trying to get this damn video to play so I can find.
One of the things I like.
Okay, so real quick, hold that thought real quick.
You mean by native ability?
Like their elite ability.
So what Kaylin what Kaylin was talking about earlier, how it shows like the spell ranges for all of them. It was the way they had showed it was really cool because they gave us an idea of what kind of abilities we're looking at for the Esper and the Spellslinger. So the Esper looked like this one, and so basically you can see on here what their abilities kind of look like on there. So you had the Esper has that one frontal cone telegraph on there, which I'm pretty sure was that little sword one where she had those 3 swords coming up above them and then it slash in front of them. I think I want to say it's that one on there. Of course, the big old circle ones are going to be her both of her little twirling around ballerina dance, and then the last one I believe was actually casted on the ground, and it did like some AoE on the ground somewhere, so she had to get out of the way. So those were all very interesting to see and everything. And then later on, it actually shows the Spellslingers, and you can actually see that there's a huge difference on the Spellslinger spell range. So you know the Spellslinger for the spell range on the Spellslinger, you can obviously see, you know, they're limited to pretty much what's directly in front of them, but you know, it's more concentrated damage. So when you look at it, you know, you're gonna be hitting those bigger numbers with the Spellslinger, you know, than the Esper is. Esper, it looks like, was specifically designed more for AoE attacks than it was for anything else, and the Spellslinger is more like a direct damage, who can still do some AoE, obviously, if they're still in the circle and everything. But as you can see, that 40-meter yard with that true shot is pretty amazing, and I think they said was the longest one in the game. So definitely looking forward to all of that on there.
So also with the Spellslinger, they said that some of the spells will only hit one target. So you as a tank, can you technically run in front of the projectile that's going?
Oh yeah,
I'm thinking you can. Yeah. So if that's the case,
mentioned that before, that you can intercept abilities for your comrades.
Because that would be
I'm really bad at that.
Because that'd be pretty. I mean, I'd be sitting over here like, you know, I got like 2 health left, and I'm like, dude, catch his hit for me. I'm like, K-Win, take this hit. K was like, what? I'm like, and then I die, and I'm like, K-Win, what? You couldn't take the hit?
No.
He's like, I was one left, it went right.
I didn't know what to do.
It'll take me like 2 seconds to process what's going on. And then I'll figure it out from there. But otherwise, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want her to protect you, make sure you give her 6 seconds notice.
Right? At least 6 seconds notice and everything. I think I'm gonna die in 6 seconds,
notice.
K-Win, so kind of help
I'll
me out
figure
here.
out by the time you come out of that other void.
Right? By then, I mean, I probably would have been killed in the void because another Spellslinger would have went in there and fucking
the
murdered
Spellslinger
me.
comes in behind you like, hey, you just shadow stepped? Well, I shadow stepped in your shadow step. Take
Right? Oh god, I'd be so mad. This is why I don't PvP, because I'm so bad at it and everything, and I start blaming blaming everybody else if I fail and everything. So I'm like, guys,
oh, you're one of those?
oh yeah,
And you're
yeah.
my guild leader?
Yeah, I'm one of those.
God damn it.
Yes, Lonely Angel, I am an egg. Are you really an exile named Exiled? I'm not an exiled. I'm a Dominion named Exiled.
Can we be exiled, please?
No,
So
it's already been. I know she wants to be her space bunny so bad and everything.
I
It's
kind
already
of
been
almost
said.
want to roll an alt on the other side just so I can have a harem of space bunnies.
And it's funny because
It'll be
here's the thing is that everybody keeps asking me this too. It's like, why are you playing Dominion and you named yourself Exile? I have had the name Exiled since I started playing video games when I was a kid. So
I thought you were stylish.
So yesterday?
no, that was different because when I first joined Legacy Gaming, Exile didn't really fit the Star Wars: The Old Republic naming conventions on there. Mainly because everybody knew Exiled as the Exile
Who's
from
blow drying in the background?
Knights of the Old Republic. Who is? Oh my God! Hold on. This is really bad. I'll be right back. Please continue.
Mom, stop blow drying your hair. I'm streaming it here.
I don't know why
Right.
she
At least she didn't walk
decides.
in this time.
I have no idea why she decides to blow dry her hair at 9:22 at night. Who does that? Anyway,
Oh God, he's on that live stream again. Time to do my hair.
exactly. Couldn't wait until everything else until it was, at least like 15 minutes or something. Anyway. Yes, Angel, it did. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm embarrassed. I'm quite embarrassed right now. I'm turning red and everything. Screw it. That's it. Stream's over. I'm going home.
He rage quit. Oh, God.
Rage quit. Alright, so anyway,
I'm
guys.
so embarrassed of in so much makeup you wouldn't even see my redness.
Right? Alright, guys, so back to the actual the fight between the Esper and the Spellslinger. That fight was actually very interesting to see, and how they were talking about how they wanted the kill rates between the different armor ratings to be about the same. So the amount of time it takes for a warrior to kill, let's say, an Esper who's wearing light armor would be the same as an Esper killing a warrior, because the Esper's still doing more damage. To compensate for the heavy armor that the warrior is having. So it kind of didn't make sense to me at first, because then I thought about it and I was like, okay, as I thought about it, they talked about it and they were like, okay, so it kind of makes sense that they did it that way. But then I thought about it and I was like, well, what if it's like an Esper versus an Esper? If they're doing more damage, it basically comes down to whoever can do the most damage faster, and that's just button spamming and finding stuff that works and everything.
Well,
and
Yeah,
I don't know.
It depends on limited action sets and gear.
Yeah, and those limited action sets,
And amps.
I think those limited action sets were fucking a brilliant idea by the developers. Like, I hated when I came into World of Warcraft and you saw like 50,000 buttons on your screen, and it was like your entire screen was just buttons, and you had one small
that's
square.
how World of Warcraft is you have like 800 abilities.
Yeah, and it was
And
like
you
you had
don't
one
know what
small
half of
square,
them
so you
do.
could see, you
Right.
could see your character's ass or something like that as you're walking, and everything else was action buttons and everything. So I was like, oh god. Oh, blank space. Oh, that's messed up. Blank space. That's.
I'm the one that says she has a hot date. She's getting ready, and everybody.
Wow, blank space. That was good. I'll give you that, bro. Thank you so much for that. That
Mom's in
was.
the back, just blow drying the hair. I gotta get ready. Got a hot date. Gonna go do some bingo.
All right, but yeah, guys, that was definitely a funny assholes.
You know what? I mean, if you've never played the Secret World kind of has a limited action set where you have to choose 7 abilities,
Yeah.
and they also have you where you choose 7 passive abilities too. And so it's all about synergy for them. But
Well,
for
they
these
kinda
guys,
did
it's
that-
just going to be the 7 abilities. There's no real passives per
I think
se.
the first real game that we really saw that kind of limited action set being implemented in was in Guild Wars. Obviously, you couldn't switch between the abilities, but they gave you those initial abilities based on the weapon that you were holding and everything. You could unlock those abilities and use those abilities for the weapon that you were using. So it was an interesting way to put at it and everything. But I think I think WildStar. Which obviously, I mean, if you think about it, as I've been saying always, WildStar is pulling everything that was great from every other game, and they're implementing it better, or they're bringing it exactly the way it should be done into WildStar. And so the developers have definitely been paying attention to the other games that have been doing well, and that's why, in my honest opinion, I think WildStar is going to do a lot better than any of the other games. I mean, personally, I recently beta tested, I can't say which one, but I think we all know which one just recently passed, a game, and I don't think that game is going to be able to hold a candle to WildStar. I mean, the way that they have built this game and the way that the game is being implemented is just going to be amazing. The Spellslinger is going to be an amazing class. Their healing is really good on there, and if you guys paid attention while they were doing the storm scale in the dungeon, that Spellslinger was going ham on those heals. Like, he was keeping everybody up. Nobody died except for at the very end or something like that. But I think he made a mistake or something. But
a lot of that was
from the first stream where they wiped like 6 times.
Yeah, a lot of that was great teamwork.
Yeah, it really
they
was.
They did that with no problems the second for the Spellslinger.
Yeah, and they kind of made it look a little too easy and everything, which I think is going to be very a wake-up call for some people who try to go in there. It's like, well, the devs did this, I can do it too. And it's like, no. Like, they're going to wipe over and over again. Like, these bosses actually have some intricate mechanics, like mechanics that you would have, that you would see, like in raids and stuff like that.
I don't remember the Spellslinger heals. Honestly, I really don't have any interest in this class, so I wasn't paying attention. But I do have 6 pages of notes. I don't remember. Like, I try to pay attention to heals because that's all I'm interested in is healing, and I don't remember any of the Spellslinger heals.
Well, and I don't think they really went over
because
them.
they did both. They did both damage and healing.
Well, no,
okay.
like you saw just damage from there. The other Spellslinger in the dungeon was doing the healing and everything, but they didn't really go over the heals that the Spellslinger had to offer, which I'm sure.
No, didn't you hear when he said that they did damage and healing? They hit, one of his attacks did both. It also damaged the enemy, but also healed the allies.
Oh, I did not pay attention to that part. That's very interesting to hear. Which means
I believe it was when they were in the dungeon fighting that boss is when they were talking about it. If you wanted to pull it up.
Well, I would have to know exactly where it is on there because they did an entire like 20 minutes of that damn dungeon, so I'd have to go through the entire thing. Anyway, but so I mean, just watching that and everything. I mean, the stuff that they offer, the stuff that like their healing seems to be really solid. The Esper that they did last week, I think it was just the developer just was not that great at playing an Esper and healing as an Esper, because come on, I mean, the guy, like, the tank was dying, and instead of healing the tank, he was over there looking at the stalker who had 90% health and trying to throw a heal on the stalker, and I'm like, what are you doing, bro? The tank is at like 10%, and you want to heal the stalker who has like full health. So I honestly, that was
the fact that they pulled like 17 packs at a time.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it was us, we could have did it.
I don't know about that. You can't even control your mom.
Hey! Oh, wrong! So wrong!
He didn't put his CC ability on his car. That's all it was.
I forgot to equip it.
Not sorry.
That's messed up. Anyway, continuing on from that ridiculous... Oh, God.
This is why you gotta have at least one CC ability on your bar at all times, Exile.
That's just embarrassing. So, what I'm gonna do right now is we had some. So what we do is every week we post in our forums and the Terminus forums, people who want to ask questions for the stream. And this week we actually got a whole bunch of those questions that came through, and so I'm gonna read a few off of there.
You have questions?
Yes, you're welcome.
We do have
make sure we got some questions today.
As soon as
I gave them incentive.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
You bribed them.
Yeah, give me questions and I'll give you
doing this, so I have no idea what
stuff.
goes on. I didn't even know to do that. Okay.
I insanitized.
Right. All right. So it looks like on here, Eisenwolf, who is one of our applicants on Terminus, has asked. He wanted to hear our thoughts on the role that the Spellslinger will fill in a raid team based on what we know currently. So we've pretty much been told everything that the Spellslinger is going to be able to do. So that's what we're definitely. So we pretty much know everything that they're going to be able to do and everything. So, I mean, in my opinion, I think based on what we saw, the Spellslinger has a really strong chance of being like a main healer, just because of the way either that healer was really freaking good or those heals are really freaking good. So either way,
So, I don't see it being a healer.
Well, I mean, I don't see the Esper being a main healer, and maybe that's just because the damn devs suck at being healing, but I mean, it's a possibility. It could be even just an off healer and everything. I mean, it's not going to be a group healer because they don't have the AoE heals like an Esper does. So honestly, I see them being they're more of a single target or straight line healer instead of an AoE heal. That's why I kind of think that they're going to be more of a main healer rather than an off heals, and I think the Esper would be probably more suited to like group heals or off heals or something like that.
What I want to know if there's any heals over time, because that was my most popular thing in WoW as a healer.
That might
Esper
be the
had
unreleased
one.
class that we don't know about yet.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
which come on, medic.
I need those hots. I need them.
Need that? Give me some hots.
Look like a monk with her fisticuffs at the end of that video. Oh, we
Yeah.
haven't talked about that video yet.
Are we talking about that?
No, we'll talk about that a little bit later in like 15, 20 minutes.
So, yeah, that was the thoughts on the roles of Spellslinger will fill in the raid. Is that what the question was?
that was. He just wanted to hear our thoughts on the role in there, which I mean, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be definitely fun to see what kind of things that the Spellslinger will be able to do, while we're in raid. And I'm really wondering if they're gonna give one of the classes a battle res, which as it stands, pretty much almost every MMO that's come out so far has a class that can at least battle res at some point. I mean, fantasy.
It'd have to be the medic.
Yeah,
the one
Final
that they haven't
Fantasy.
shown yet.
Final Fantasy Online.
She's got those shock paddles. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it looked like it, right? But Final Fantasy
Can we
Online,
just
I
hope
mean,
and dream that the medic has a staff? Because that's all I want.
yeah. What is with you in the staff?
You can hope and
thing?
dream.
You are so in
She has-
love with
I
I'm sorry, she has staff envy.
Stabbing?
I
Oh,
need a
God.
staff. I need a pretty
All
staff.
females have staff envy. She has staff envy.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know why she is dead set on having a staff. Like she wants that staff. I'm like, why? Why do you
None
want
of
that
the
staff?
weapons in this game are appealing to me.
She's like, I
I'm
want a
all about
staff.
the
I want to call it my own.
All about the weapons.
It's my precious.
It's my precious.
I'd go great sword, but I'm not a warrior.
Right?
That's my
Espers have a staff. It's not a real staff, but it's a glowy staff.
It's a glowy staff.
Oh, the thing that.
Yeah, that thing that they like throw
It's
into
got
the
a
ground or
lantern on
something
it
like
or
that.
something.
It's got a lantern on it.
Yeah, a lantern with a staff. What kind of poopy bullshit is that?
You're gonna be Green Lantern staff girl.
Oh my god. Anyway,
Next question.
so next
well,
question.
To answer on what I thought of, I think they'll be great in the raid healing and whatnot because they have those abilities that they can do both damage and healing. I think it's only one of their abilities that does that. But I mean, being able to do damage and heal at the same time, I love that. That's great. It'll make a nice little off-heal hybrid type deal, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot different. I mean, being able to do damage and healing. I mean, the only time I've ever seen that was in Final Fantasy XIV, where like a white mage could go in the cleric stance and just start attacking the boss and everything. I mean, we used to do that all the time, where they would literally, they would tell my friend and be like, "Hey, go cleric stance and just throw off heals on me, or have your pet heal me, or something like that," and he would go ham on the boss too and kill it that much quicker. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I wonder how many abilities are going to allow to do that, because we know just that one, right? That was like dual. What was it called? Dual damage or something like that, or something. I can't remember. Dual shot. Yeah, where it does damage and healing and everything. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how many abilities they're going to allow to do that. Because if they allow a lot of them to do that, then you may see Spellslingers being more of a what's the word I'm looking for? More of a sought-after class in dungeons and stuff, because they'll be able to kill stuff a lot faster with being able to do damage and being able to do healing at the same time. So definitely would be interesting to see just how many they'll allow to do that. So the next question that we had actually ties into the healing on there. Calistana, one of our new members, posted, said, what are your thoughts on the clear differences in healing and tanking styles and the synergies between each of the healing classes and the tanking classes? Said certain healers seem to complement certain tanks more than other games have done. Is this a good or a bad thing? So I'm assuming how he talks about how because we have the warrior and the stalker tank. And the warrior tank obviously is a straight up absorption tank. They're just going to take as much punishment as they can get, as they can dish out and everything. So they're specifically meant, to get hit by everything and just to be able to be healed through it. So it seems like, in my opinion, if it was something like that, I'd probably stick like an Esper whose action set is specifically geared towards like their high heals. Would set them on a warrior or something like that, and have that little AoE heal that they have where they set it on the ground that looks like little fishies swimming around in the pool. That was a little cool.
That's right. The light well.
Yeah, the light well, so to speak, but don't have to fucking click it. But it's definitely it'd be a great thing to see on there. So I would do something like that, and then have.
To say that one of the main mechanics is about CC, considering the fact that they were talking about the boss and has a CC counter on the side. That this is how many CCs you have to give the boss in order for it to be damageable.
and I think it's gonna be interesting to see and everything, because when they were fighting the boss, they would interrupt that one ability. I guess it was, I don't remember what it was called and everything. It was like Tempest Swarm or something. And
it's the one where he's like doing the whirlwinds back and forth or whatever.
Yeah, well, I think, doesn't that keep going, or is that what causes the whirlwinds?
I think that's what he was, like, him channeling it or whatever was causing it, and what they were doing was interrupting it to stop him from channeling it. And
okay.
It took 3 entire interrupts to do it.
Right.
I believe is what happened.
2 to knock off the interrupt armor, and then 1 to actually get it through. Yeah, that would make more sense and everything. So, I mean, it's definitely it's different because I've never seen that before. I don't know if you guys have played it in another game who've seen that. Have you guys seen that before, like an interrupt armor kind of thing, thing?
No.
No.
I have not.
Yeah, I haven't seen it before, so it was definitely a new thing for me to hear about. So I was like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, wow, that's actually really interesting. Because then it's not
save your interrupts.
Yeah, exactly.
If you blow them too early, you're screwed.
Yeah, and so if you go through there and it's like, all right, guys, we need to save our interrupts for this specific moment, and you go through and it's like, all right, guys, I just stunned everything. It's like, what the fuck? Like, we just told
Yeah.
you, do not do that, and you're like, oh, my bad.
Well,
don't yell at me when it happens.
That's gonna be Kaywin over there. I thought you.
It's always good to have a backup person with it, just in case.
Right.
I'm gonna make any promises.
3, we need 4 then.
Right. Yeah. So.
Or we bring Kayvin with us. We need 5. Everybody has to have one.
Yeah, right. Wait, you tell me.
We gotta cover our asses on this one.
You better bring an extra CC if Kaywin's in your party.
Right. It's like, so wait, Kaywin's in the party, and you want us to only bring 4? Healer, bring a CC.
I'm playing with my Chewa mustache. Leave me alone.
Just help me out here. It's like, what? So yeah, it's
sitting in the corner stroking it. Yes.
Hey, I'm gonna have a mustache. I've decided.
And here's the interesting thing. Now that we're talking about the mustache things and everything, mustaches are generally associated with the male, or actually almost always associated with the. I can't say always, because I've met some girls who have a little bit higher
Where are you
testosterone.
Going with this?
Anyway.
It's the she-male story again, isn't it?
No, not the she-male story. Anyway, back onto that. Anyway, so what I was talking about was so it's interesting how the Chua actually, if I remember correctly, are a genderless race. They do not have a gender associated with them. Yeah. So. No. Based on how you color your Chua and everything is how it's going to be portrayed. So
how
like
genderless? That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. That's, if I remember correctly, they're a genderless race, and anybody.
Oh God.
So
it
every.
does look like a female.
So every Chua.
Eyelashes. Look at those eyelashes.
Oh my God.
What?
But yeah, so every
You just blew my mind. line.
Yeah, so
I don't like
the
this.
the Chua is a genderless race, and it's gonna be very interesting to see because, I mean, obviously he had a pink Chua with a mustache and everything, so everybody's like, all right, it's just a male Chua with pink fur and everything. That's actually incorrect. It's a genderless Chua with a mustache. That's all it is. So, you know, and for all we know,
so maybe that's their choice. You could be a male Chua, a female Chua, or a genderless Chua.
No. I don't think there is like a male or female or genderless. I think it's just genderless. Like you have male and female Cassians, male and female Draken,
How do the Chua
male and
reproduce?
female
That
Makari.
makes no sense.
There are species out there that asexually reproduce. Just saying.
So I'm just gonna bend over and shit out a new Chua. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much. Better be careful because if somebody touches you wrong, you might get pregnant.
Oh look, I just had another Chua.
There's a line. We're crossing it.
Okay, all right, we're crossing the line. All right. Back on topic. Okay. So, but yes, and I believe if I remember correctly, I don't know if they're the only genderless one because I believe all the rest of them have a gender associated with them. So, but I believe Chua are the only genderless class in the game or race in the game, and it was interesting just to see how it gives you. Honestly, I think it gives you a little bit more freedom. And with in lore or in RP stance and everything, it gives you a little bit more freedom too. So people can't just immediately assume, you know, oh, you're a female or you know you're a male and everything. And it's like, all right, well, I'm neither of those. I'm neither of those and both of those at the same time. It's like, what? So.
Oh wow.
it'll be interesting to see how people kind of role play that into their stories and everything, and what they plan on doing with it.
This is gonna turn out badly for all the role players.
Right, I mean, it's just gonna be sitting over there like.
It gives them something interesting to work with.
Yeah, I mean, instead of trying to decipher if they want to be male or female, and this way, you know, they can look at it as in, you know, love is love for them, you know. So if they decide to like role play getting married or something like that, they don't have to be like, am I a female? Is that a male? No, it's a Chua. It's genderless. It's so it's like okay. And see how that kind of works out on there. Anyway, so.
What was the original question? Oh yeah, CCs.
Speculation on the dimension they can step into and chill out. What do you think it will relate to? Just a fluff fun spell, or a buff, or a shit hit the fan option? And that's from Zia.
I kind of see it as everything.
Fan option.
I see it as everything. It definitely is going to be a shit hit the fan option because at least for me, it's going to be like, oh, and if I see another Spellslinger, I'm like, all right, I'm dead. I'm not even going to try and phase shift because they're going to phase shift with me and I'm going to die anyway. So definitely, it's for me. What?
My favorite part of it was when they were in the instance and
he used it to get past all the tornadoes.
Yes, he used it to get past everything.
That was
and I
very
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna need that. But I'm gonna forget to use it when the time comes. But
it reminds me a lot of World of Warcraft, the mage spell Invisibility, because that's exactly what would happen. Is you'd shift into this alternate little dimension deal, and nothing would happen around you. But unless something was in that zone, like if you were in the Outlands and they had those phase lizards, they could phase into the zone with you and attack you while you were invisible. So I think it's kind of like that, and I think that's probably where they got the idea from.
No, I think it's awesome. It's definitely something to look forward to if I decide to try.
I just think they made it better.
Well, I think I am going to try a Spellslinger.
Right? The area is yellow.
It's not yellow, it's gold. And and the other thing that we didn't cover, especially with that, it's gold whenever they phase shift into their area, and so which looks really cool and everything. How everything just turns gold, and you're just like running through it like. You know, it just looks awesome. It's like, let me pick this because it's going to be worth $1 million. So, but and then you go and you have like the Esper who has that armor ability, which turns like your party's armor gold and everything. It looks like they have gold armor on there. So I was like, you know, it'd be me just to like, all right, get like a whole bunch of Spellslingers and just like try to take a picture of all of us in the gold area with the gold armor on, so we all look just retarded. I love gold.
No.
Yeah, if you could bring your party into that area with you, and then have your Esper cast the gold armor on them, so everybody's gold within the gold.
I don't know how many guilds you've been in, but I'm pretty sure it takes more than 7 seconds to coordinate a picture.
Hey, We can get this done. We'll do it. Whatever it takes.
Like I said, you can't even control your mom.
Shut up. Anyway, on to the next question.
His CC ability. He'll put it on his bar next time. He knows.
So Korth asks, do you think Spellslinger DPS will be viable enough that people won't always be bugging us to heal? And I think that's a yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's without a doubt. I'm saying.
If
yes
you
on that
saw,
too.
they have that ability that charges up, and it looks like the longer you hold it, the more damage it does.
That's the innate ability.
That's what?
That's the innate ability.
That's his innate. Okay.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah, it's you can turn it on and off, and it makes things stronger.
No. He has another ability. It's actually a charge up ability where you hold down the button and it charges it up, and it can charge it up to, it looked like 4 times. And obviously, if you get it all the way up to 4, he was dishing out like 2,500 damage on just a regular hit. So, and that's a lot of health to be knocking off of a mob, and they're only at like level, I think they were at like level 15 or 20 or something or 20, because that was storm scale. So yeah, they're at level 20, and him doing that much damage from a charge up shot and everything is definitely significant. Obviously they made a drawback to that one so that you can't just charge it up and keep moving. That one I believe is a stationary attack, and you have to stand still and charge it up to do it. But it has a decent range. I think it was like 30-meter range on there, and it hits everything that it goes through and does reduce damage however many targets it goes through. So the first initial target would probably take that full 2,500 hit from a full powered one, and then the second one will probably take like 1,000, and then a 500, and then it bases out probably at like 250 or 300 or something like that, depending on what your base attack stat is. So it's definitely a really interesting way to see how they keep implementing more and more of that stuff into there. The charge up attacks are going to be good, and that's why I think the Spellslinger is going to be a really good DPS class, simply for that. And even the Esper would be definitely a great DPS class too, just because you can never go wrong with a ranged nuke mage. And they kind of said that you can build a Spellslinger the same way, where you can be like a ranged nuke mage. So you're definitely gonna be able to see the same thing, similar qualities. So I don't think you're gonna have to heal unless you want to heal. But the way I've always looked at it is that I would do both anyway, so that if you need to look for a group, you can heal and you can DPS. It's always a good thing to have on both of those. And they said later on that they're gonna do where you can save your action sets depending on your entire spec or whatever later on in the game. I don't think they said it was going to be at launch, but they said it was going to be in there soon, where you can choose your action set and your gear and everything like that, and save it to a gear slot. And as soon as you change it over, it'll change your action set and your gear. So that'd be considering the way we're going with MMOs these days, it's kind of a requirement now. So a lot of the MMOs are being like, all right, this is what you want and everything, save it to this set, and then we'll bring it up later. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's becoming more streamlined the more MMOs that come out with that feature on there. Let's see. Next question. Or did y'all have any comments on that? Anything like that?
No, I was good with that one. The next question is from Seven, who is also the leader of one of our other chapters, Acheron.
Acheron?
Whatever. What do you think about the class's viability for soloing content? Do you think they'll always end up either being too squishy or too low in damage and thus needing a partner/group while leveling?
I don't think...
I'm going to take this one first if you don't mind.
Alright, go ahead.
I don't think they're going to have a problem soloing at all. They're one of the most ranged classes. They're going to be able to kite things a lot easier than any other class, as well as if shit gets them in their face, boom, they're just going to teleport through them, and now they're 30, 40 meters away again, and start just kiting them some more. I think, have the best... Yeah, ideal kiting class. It's going to be great for soloing, even groups, because as long as you get them in that column that you have, which is like, a 6-foot column, or let's say 6 meters wide, as long as they're in that 6 meters, you're going to hit them.
Yeah, and
it also depends on what's in your limited action bar.
Yeah, it does depend on what's in your limited action.
There's a lot of versatility with that.
And if shit gets, hitting the fan, boom, run to the void. You're out of there.
Yeah, that's true and everything. Unless, of course, it's another, Spellslinger, as we discussed.
Well, I'm talking PvE. Not
Oh yeah, PvE. I think you'll be fine and everything. And I'm wondering if if you do shift to the void, if that immediately will reset the mob, or if the mob just sits there going, where did he go? Because it'd be kind of sucky if you're like, you both have maybe 50 health, and you're like, all right, let me go into the void, see if I can throw a heal on myself real quick, and then come back out and finish it. And you come back out and the damn thing's at full health because it basically reset because you went out of combat with it. So I want to see if that makes any kind of difference on there at all, or any of that stuff at all.
If I had to guess, it probably will go out of combat and get full health again, because it's probably going to work the same way invisibility worked in World of Warcraft. When you pop that, it pulls you out of combat, so any mobs that were attacking you are going to reset.
Yeah, I just don't know if I really...
I don't know. We won't know until you test it. But I'm basing this off my past experiences with World of Warcraft, and since these are all World of Warcraft developers, chances are it might work that way.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens and everything on that one. I mean, it's going to be interesting. So, the next question that we had on here was actually something that we were going to talk about, that we are going to cover. I guess now would be a good time. So they just released today, a little bit early, as a special. Do
you want to play it?
I do want to play it, actually. So I'm actually queuing it up right now. Give me just a second here. All right, so in case you guys have not seen it, it is the Stalker gameplay video, which looks fucking amazing. And there's a nice special little tidbit at the end for some of us that have been patiently waiting for this for a while now. So let's take a look at this real quick.
Welcome to WildStar. This is DevSpeak. Disclaimer. So you know that class in every game that has a huge advantage because he can walk around invisible? Well, we call that class a Stalker. Whoa. Chill out. We didn't make the Stalker overpowered. But they are pretty sweet. In a ninja kind of way. After all, he is Batman Wolverine Predator. The Stalker is an opportunistic stealth melee assassin that uses speed, evasion, and clever combinations of abilities to perforate helpless foes. The Stalker toolbelt comes with retractable claws, high-tech gadgets, medium armor, and ridiculously futuristic nanoskin. It's ridiculous. So, he's got claws.
My favorite part of this video.
Claws are the perfect weapon for this martial arts master to chain lightning-quick combos and position-based strikes. High-tech gadgets help a Stalker keep targets within their grasp. Stun, root, tether, close the gap, and start poking. Nanoskin is the key to a Stalker's power. Take Professor Hambone here. Nanites within her body allow her to siphon health, absorb damage, create clones, and of course, turn invisible. Even in combat. Is that grass moving? And with limited action set, you get to decide if you want to roll more ambush style or disruption specialist. You can do huge amounts of damage or go straight up tank. How do you tank with medium armor? Well, you can always use your nanites to beef up.
Did that grass just move?
Be good. And don't get hit. Well, that's all I can get into for the Stalker. Hit up the website for all kinds of information. Have you heard of social media?
I love how they said
that
they can even off-tank.
Come on, homie.
That's
the devs are listening. I'm alive. What happened? Wait. Friend. Who are you?
What unrevealed class are you?
Hey, so
wait, come back.
So you can't really go wrong with that. I mean, that is just an awesome video in there. So I mean, just at the very end, how they give us that little sneak peek, and a lot of people were saying it's a medic, obviously. they're speculating because it rezzed them, which is a dumb speculation because every class has the ability to res out of combat. So if you see one of your allies, lying on the ground over there dead, and you don't happen to be in combat, go res them. Don't be a dick. Go res them and res them up. So every class has that ability. So people are saying that that it's the medic class. I don't personally think it is. It's a melee. It did look melee as L. It did look melee, and that's why I was like, okay. That's why I didn't really see it as being as a medic, because medics don't really tend to want to be in the brunt of the action. They kind of want to sit back and and heal shit. So
it also looked like heavy armor.
It did. So that's why I was thinking it could have been what everybody assumed was the engineer. So the engineer being something that we can definitely that would definitely constitute having heavy or medium armor on there, and I could see being a melee class, because an engineer with the name alone, they could be setting up things like turrets and stuff like that to do damage from range, while you're up in the action just like slamming people in the face with your fist and stuff, like going monk style on them. So yeah, so I'm definitely. It's definitely going to be interesting to see exactly what's going to happen in there and everything. What did y'all think about it?
My issue though is that they specifically said that the weapons, there's only one weapon type per class. So if you know what the other weapon types are, it really can only be two classes. It could be a Spellslinger, and maybe that was like two different looking pistols they had. Maybe, I don't know, or whatever one of the unnamed classes is, which I really think is what it is. It's either going to be medic or monk or whatever they're going to call it, having these shock pedal things. It couldn't be the engineer, because engineer uses giant rifles supposedly, and the other classes all just use stuff that's not dual wield either.
I have no idea. I don't have a clue.
Yeah, and that's why I think
I'm interested in.
It definitely looks like something that can go either way on there. So it looked like it could have been shock paddles from a medic, or it could have been fist weapons for an engineer or something like that. So
it's true. It could be either one of those two. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think
we won't really know.
A giant ass gun.
We won't really know until next Wednesday, when they finally drop the first new class to be revealed. This weekend on Saturday, I don't know if they're gonna do their stream again for the Stalker.
They already said they're not.
I think they're delaying it, so we'll see that. Hopefully we'll see that. Maybe they'll do it on Wednesday or something like that as an increase, or as an extra little thing for them to do. Anyways, but yeah, that covers everything that we have for today.